Hello. I have a shameful story for you, so I need to ask you, don't be harsh to me. I know that I screwed up and created problems for a nice and innocent person, but I just couldn't help it. I fell in love with my English teacher and behaved in a very stupid way. My name is Lily. At the time I was 14, and this is my story. It was my first day as a sophomore. Our first lesson was English, and all the girls were excited, sharing the news that we have a new teacher, Mr. Scott, a young man. I wasn't impressed by this information. Who cares, after all? But as soon as I saw him, I changed my mind. Good Lord, I was breathless. He was beautiful, he was smart, and friendly. I saw that he was a bombshell, not only for me. Other girls were showing all signs of infatuation. To make a long story short, after a couple of weeks, I was head over heels in love. I was not the only one. There was the whole fan club of our English teacher. My best friend Eve was there as well. But I was jealous. I wanted to go further than other girls. I found Mr. Scott in social network and decided to write him a message. I thought that maybe we can chat sometimes and it would make me closer to him. And maybe he will like me, and maybe... But I didn't think that far. Just being a silent dreamer was not enough for me. I wrote a message. He didn't respond. Then another one. Hello, it's Lily. I just wanted to ask you if you think I should improve my English grammar. He was online, but clearly ignored me. Well, I understood that maybe I was too small for him to talk to me or something. But suddenly a message sound. My heart beating, I grabbed the phone and saw a brief, "Hi Lily, no, everything is fine. Take care." I was dancing and singing of joy. I responded, "Take care, you too." Should I say that I read and reread that chat at least 100 times during that evening? I decided that after such a promising beginning, I would surely establish a special relation with Mr. Scott. I tried to be around him as often as possible. I couldn't take my eyes off him during the break in an English lesson, and did my best so that he saw me all the time. From time to time, I wrote him a message or two about studies, or just with some nice words, and sometimes he even responded. His messages were neither long nor affectionate, but that was only a beginning, as I thought. Point is that even if I was a bit too present, I didn't actually stalk him or something, so he couldn't even tell me to back off and leave him alone. It wouldn't be polite. However, things didn't develop in any way, so I got desperate. I was stupid enough to complain to Eve, my best friend, who was also in love with him. I didn't say that his communication with me was monosyllabic. I just told her that Mr. Scott didn't enjoy talking to me as much as I would like to. Eve seemed shocked that I was chatting with our teacher, but didn't comment much. In several days, we got a heartbreaking news. Mr. Scott was leaving us right in the middle of the term. I was inconsolable, as well as my classmates. I had no idea about the reason. During the break, I was called to the principal where they gave me an inquiry on my personal relationships with Mr. Scott. It was so absurd. I denied absolutely and showed them our chat to prove that he had always been cool and professional towards me. Turned out that after our conversation, Eve went straight to the principal to report strange relationships between the teacher and the student. I was crying and convincing the principal that he was not to blame. It was totally my idiocy. I was so shocked and ashamed. When you ruin your own life, it's okay. But when a nice adult person loses his job because of me, it is so painful. The principal was convinced and said that Mr. Scott was above suspicion, which was good news. Bad news was that Mr. Scott left us anyway, without even bidding goodbye. I wrote him apologetic messages, but he never responded. My parents found out about the story and didn't hesitate to inform me that my behavior was asinine and that they were ashamed of me, as if I hadn't been blaming myself enough. I lost my best friend. I was embarrassed. I lost my favorite teacher who was clearly ignoring my apologies. I was crying my eyes out. One day, however, I received an ultimate blow. Imagine Mr. Scott, who casually enters your house to have dinner with you. God, I was ready to die out of embarrassment. Turns out my parents invited him to apologize for my behavior and didn't tell me anything to punish me even more. I thought it would be an epic fail, but I actually felt better after that dinner. First thing Mr. Scott did was to assure me he was not angry or offended. As he explained, the school board knew he was innocent and said that he could remain. His mistake was to answer me, because it creates subtext, and a teacher mustn't chat with a student. He was still young, and it didn't occur to him. But first, he didn't want any gossip. And second, he got a better proposal at a high school nearby and was glad to accept it. So for him, things after this story got even better. He finally accepted my apologies. After all, I've learned 2 things from this sad experience. First, before you do something, think how it may influence other people. And second, keep your mouth shut. Share this story with people who have had similar experience and share your stories in the comments. Subscribe to this channel to see more stories like mine.